This video is about everything that you wanted to know about Alabama rape law, but you were afraid to ask. So what's the basics? Rape under Alabama is non-consensual sex. In other words, when a man has non-consensual sex with a woman. And Alabama law divides rape into two types or degrees of rape. The most serious is rape first degree. There's several ways the crime of rape first degree can occur. And then the next level is rape second. And again, there's certain ways that that particular crime can occur. So let's start with the crime of rape in the first degree and talk about the ways that can be committed. The most common is when a man has sex with a woman without consent. How does that occur? Well, law says that it either can be as a result of a threat, and that could be a threat of death or serious physical injury, and it doesn't have to be an express threat. It could be an implied threat, and again, it doesn't have to be directly to the victim. It could be to a family member or somebody else. So if a guy says, the classic, the guy pulls out a knife and says, "You better do what I want," well, that's force to get her to have sex. If the guy says, "Hey, if you don't let me do what you want, I'm going to pour acid on your baby," that also would be forcible because she's being forced to do something against her will because of the threat to another person. Now, there's another type of threat that's seen now that's a little bit less common, but that is a person in authority threat. In other words, if you are a teacher, if a person's a school teacher or a coach or whatever, Uncle Joe or something, and by virtue of their authority over the person, usually a younger person, that person feels that they have to have sexual relations with them, that is not considered consensual sex. And so it's a little bit of a tricky one, and it's a factual question of whether or not the person who is the victim was having sex because of the authority or not. But that's another type of forcible sexual compulsion that can result in a rape first degree charge. Now, there's other types of rape first degree charges, and one of them is physically helpless rape. Physically helpless rape means that a woman is either unconscious or she's physically unable to communicate her unwillingness to act. Most common version of this would be when a woman gets intoxicated. Obviously, if a woman is so intoxicated that she's passed out, the man comes along and has sex with her, she can't give consent, that would be rape. But sometimes the issue isn't that clear. Sometimes a woman may get intoxicated, she may not be passed out, but she may not have all of her faculties about her. And so then is she physically unable to communicate? Or is it just regrettable drunken sex? So what the defense would argue is, of course, well, it was regrettable sex, and that's drunken consent is still consent. At any rate, one type of rape charge is when a woman is unconscious or physically unable to give consent. Another one is when a woman is mentally incapacitated. And most commonly, this occurs when a woman has been slipped some sort of a date rape drug or something like that. Obviously, if a guy has sex with a woman who's unconscious, she can't give consent. That's non-consensual sex. That is rape first degree as well. Rape first degree can carry up to 99 years in prison. Minimum sentence if there's a gun used or threatened to be used, or if the victim is under 12, then we're talking about a minimum sentence of 20 years. Now, that brings me to the third or fourth, I lost count, of rape first degree, and that is when a man who is above 16 has sex with a child who is under 12. The child is not legally, under the law, able to give consent. That's rape first degree. That one, you're talking about a minimum sentence of 20 to 99 years, very serious crime. Now we move to the second degree of rape second degree, and there's a couple of ways this crime can be occurred. It's still a very serious crime, but it's not punished quite as severely as first degree. A lot of people think of rape second degree as being statutory rape, and it includes some elements of that, but there's some other ways the crime could be committed. So the first would be if a male who is above 16 has sexual relations with a girl who is under 16 but over 12 years of age. This particular law has a 2-year span. In other words, there's a 2-year grace period. So a 15-year-old girl, if she has sex with a 17-year-old boy, that 17-year-old boy would not be guilty of statutory rape. He might be guilty of some other form of rape if he used force or threat of force or something else. But assuming that it was a sexual relationship that they both eagerly participated in, it would not be a crime if he is, if he's 17 and she is 15 and there's less than 2 years span. However, if the same girl had an 18-year-old boyfriend and she was willing and enthusiastic participant and he had sex with her, it would be rape. Now, I understand that people may not think this is fair. All law is about line drawing. That's where the state of Alabama has drawn the line. So the 18-year-old who had sex with a 15-year-old, he's looking at going to prison potentially. Now, there is another way that the crime of rape in the second degree can be committed. And that's when a male has sex with a woman who is suffering from some sort of mental disease or defect that renders it where she is incapable of either giving legal consent or appreciating the consequences of her action. Now, whether or not the woman is or isn't able to form the level of consent is a factual question usually decided by a jury. But if she is not capable of giving consent and a man's had sex with her, that would be rape as well. That would be a form of rape second. Rape second normally carries a range of punishment of from 2 to 20 years in prison. However, there are enhancements. Again, if a firearm is used, it can be 10 to 20 years. So there you have it. Those are the basics. Now, any kind of sex offense or any kind of rape sex offense is going to carry with it what is called SORNA. SORNA stands for the Sex Offender Registration Notification Act. So even if somebody by some miracle is convicted of this and avoids going to prison, most likely they're going to be a registered sex offender, and it's all bad. If you or somebody you love is accused of the crime of rape, the very first thing you should do is contact a competent criminal defense lawyer. This should be done before you talk to the police, before you talk to anyone. It's the first step. If you'd like our help, give us a call. Our phone number is below. I hope you found this video to be educational and informative. Thank you for watching.